Broadcast Future.
So Paul, when we last met, you gave a very interesting talk at the European Radio Days and at Radio Days Europe, and the title was "Think Like an Adman, Sell Like a Madman." And it was very entertaining and very insightful. And in this talk, you spoke about the 5 biggest mistakes advertisers make. So maybe you can tell our viewers, what are those 5 big mistakes?
Yes, I have. When you're good in this business and you talk to a client and the client says, "I tried radio and it didn't work." It used to make me angry, but it doesn't make me angry anymore because I've heard it so many times that I'm sure that it's true. They did try it and it didn't work, but it's not the radio station itself that doesn't work. The radio station is perfect. It's like a light that you turn on and bugs like it, so they fly around it. You know, it's attractive to people. So there's nothing wrong with the station itself. If someone says, "I tried it once and it didn't work," I know that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or fünf, all 5, I'm sorry, eins, zwei, drei, vier, or fünf of the following things had to happen. Wrong demographic, that the client is fishing in the wrong pond and is using the wrong bait in the wrong pond. They're not going to catch very many fish because it's stupid. They're on a conservative right-wing talk show, but they're selling skateboards. You know this. But I see this happen in Europe. I see it in the United States, everywhere. It's the wrong demographic. Problem number 2, stingy budget. Okay, the client is uneducated about how much they should be spending on the station, and I'm a big believer in high frequency because I know that it's in this overcluttered media world with each of us being hit with 5,000 commercial impressions a day, right? We need higher frequency. I hear, "Oh, we need frequency of 3, frequency of 3, frequency of 3. This philosophy came about in 1964. That's when frequency of 3 was first introduced. And that was back in Mad Men times, you know, and this is 2013 going on 2014. And, you know, I mean, even if you subscribe to that pretzel logic, Steely Dan fans, if you subscribe to that, I mean, in today's overcluttered media world, shouldn't we be trying to reach a frequency of 12 or 18 or something? So I believe in high frequency. Why run a commercial every hour on that radio station? Because the radio station lets you. That's why you would do it, you know? So you want to run good frequency. And so stingy budget is a reason. And we shouldn't be leaving this up to the client. We should be telling the client how much they should be spending, not asking the client, "Well, what's your budget for this?" Because they're always going to lowball the budget because they're suspicious, because it's intangible. It's radio advertising. So the third problem is horrible creative. I mean, the worst creative I've ever heard in every single country. Commercials filled with cliches, the commercial being only about the advertiser, not about the consumer. The commercial should serve the purpose of identifying and solving a consumer problem, and then the client doesn't have to resort to cutting their price in every single commercial and taking away from their own gross margin of profit. Reason 4, that someone would say, "I tried radio once and it didn't work." The client had pre-existing marketing problems before the campaign ever started, you know. For example, the client, let's say, is an optometrist. They sell glasses. And the optometrist says, "Paul, I want to advertise on your station." Excuse me, it's warm in this room. It's Texas. "I want to advertise on your station. I have put all of my money into inventing this new windscreen for your car that is prescription, so you don't have to wear glasses when you drive."
That would be nice.
That's pretty bad. You say, sir, I mean, that might be good for you, but I think it would scare the hell out of the other passengers on the Autobahn. Whoa! God. People coming from the other direction. My God, did you see the size of that man's head? It was huge. Anyway, marketing problems. And, but still, radio stations take money from people who have a problem, and it's never talked about or discussed, and then the advertiser eventually says it didn't work, and they don't recognize that they have a problem, so they say it must be that radio. It just doesn't work. Problem number 5 is a big one, a big problem, and that is that the client's expectations about results were never handled properly. That because the client had a remote at your station, a live remote broadcast, they think they needed 25 people to buy, when in reality, to break even, maybe they only needed 2 or 3. So this clothing store, he called me in. He said, Paul, I really like your sales rep. She's pretty. And so he says, I tried radio once and it didn't work, but I really like her, so I'm going to give you another chance. I want to spend $1,000 on your station. I said, 1,000? Oh. And I know that this station, the average cost per commercial is $150. There's no way I can do any kind of frequency. Yeah. And so I said, all right, for your 1,000 spent, how many people do you expect to come in to make this campaign break even? He said, I don't know, 80 or 90. I said, 80 or 90? Whoa, wait a minute. I said, your gross margin of profit in the clothing business is 50%, or what we call keystone. So let's say that let's say you own a clothing store, and you go to Berlin, to the big market, or Munich, or wherever it is, and you see a really nice blouse that you want for your store. And so it costs you $100. You take it back to your store, and you mark it up 100% to $200. So then when it's time to sell the blouse, when you sell it for $200, and then so to determine gross margin, you subtract what you have in it, which is 100, and the result is 100 left, or 50%. And I said, knowing that gross margin of profit in clothing is 50%, now how many, what's your average sale? And in this guy's case, it was $800. He sells expensive men's clothes. Okay. Suits start at $1,000. A shirt is at least $120. A tie is sometimes $200. And I said, now how many, based on your average sale, how many 800s, right? Half of 800 is 400. So how many $400 need to walk in that store per 1,000 a week spent? Answer, 3. 2.5. We settle on 3. 3 is a lot different than 80 or 90. Is that right? So this is what we're dealing with. A lot of, it didn't work. But no salesperson ever did the calculation. So, and then the client says, I tried radio and it didn't work. I've had people that had all 5 of these problems at the same time. It was terrible. It's a disaster. So we have to be like forensic detectives on CSI or something to come in and analyze what happened to this person's campaign.